My wife and I have been looking for a new home for the last 2 years.
This is Wes Fandel. He is a new homeowner who is facing many of the same issues other prospective homebuyers have faced in this hot housing market.
We really just hadn't had much luck, mainly due to increasing interest rates driving up the cost of our mortgage. We did put in a couple of offers that didn't go anywhere just because it's a very hot housing market here.
But the Vandal story is a little different than most homebuyers navigating the market right now.
We found one that popped up. It was the right size, it was the right area, but we knew it was a little bit out of our budget just because the interest rate was too high. Just happened to look at the Realtor app again, and there was a button on that app that said, "This home has an assumable mortgage."
What the Vandals found is a rare type of mortgage called an assumable mortgage, landing them a 2.6% mortgage rate as opposed to the 2024 average, which sits just above 6%.
An assumable mortgage is a type of home loan where the buyer can actually take over the existing mortgage terms from the seller.
That meant a difference of over $800 a month.
A common occurrence in the 1970s and 80s, assumable mortgages are a rare find in today's real estate market. In 2023, only 4,052 Federal Housing Administration mortgages were assumed. That's still a 50.
That's actually pretty interesting. I haven't heard of this mortgage type before, but it does make sense that for certain homes, there is going to be a mortgage already on the house. And so they're effectively transitioning the mortgage that exists from the previous owners onto the new owners. And then these individuals are able to take advantage of that interest rate, again, because there's such a large difference. There was that like 2.6% that they referenced as the assumable mortgage. And then it's a bit over 6% right now for mortgage rates. And so that could nearly double your payment every month. So that's actually a very interesting option that folks could potentially still take advantage of housing in the current times where interest rates are so high. So this is actually a really cool option that exists.
59% increase in FHA mortgage assumptions since 2021. For Veterans Affairs mortgages, the jump is even larger, with 2,244 mortgage assumptions in 2023, an increase of 713% compared to 2021. And 2024 assumptions are already outpacing previous years for both the VA and FHA. So what are assumable mortgages? How do they work, and why aren't they more common?
The vast majority of homeowners don't actually know that they have an assumable mortgage, buyers don't know how to find them, and agents don't know how to coordinate the purchase.
While assumable mortgages might be a rare find, public interest in them is climbing. Google searches for the term assumable mortgage have climbed in tandem with increasing mortgage rates over the past 2 years.
This is the most unaffordable time to purchase in America of the last 40 years. 60 million people were priced out from being able to purchase a home.
When it comes to the average U.S. home buying experience, most Americans follow the same process. A buyer approaches a lender to get pre-approved for a mortgage. When the buyer settles on a home, they use their own mortgage to cover the cost at a fixed rate. The home buyer then pays off that mortgage over the term of the loan, normally 15 or 30 years. What an assumable mortgage offers is the option to take over the seller's loan. So instead of taking out your own loan at a new rate, you inherit the remainder of the seller's mortgage at whatever rate they took it out at. So a homebuyer that took out an assumable mortgage in 2020 could offer an interested homebuyer a sub 3% mortgage rate.
For the homeowner, the value of including their low rate mortgage in their home sale is to maximize their probability of being able to sell the home by expanding the universe of buyers who can afford to purchase it.
In the 1970s and 80s, U.S. interest rates hit record highs, peaking at 18% in 1981. Assumable mortgages were more popular then, but have largely fallen out of public consciousness following the passage of the Garn-St. Germain Act in 1982, allowing private lenders to ask for immediate repayment if a property is sold. This is called a due-on-sale clause.
Assumable mortgages are not really popular at all, simply because they're very limited.
Assumable mortgages do come with their own set of hurdles. The possibility of higher than expected down payments, knowledgeable lenders and real estate agents, and the fact that they're only offered through government-backed loans. VA, FHA, and United States Department of Agriculture mortgages are now the main type of mortgages able to be assumed in the U.S.
The most popular state in America for assumable mortgages is Texas. This is because there's a large military population there, and also a large first-time home buyer population there.
We are a military community, so there's an Air Force base in our community where there are a lot of VA loans. It's also a younger, college towns, so there's a lot of FHA loans within our community.
And government-backed loans mean more paperwork. So if you are looking to enter into an assumable mortgage, get ready to settle in. They can take a while to close.
Assumable mortgages are very complicated and they involve a lot of paperwork, and that's why a lot of lenders simply don't want to do them. Some don't even really understand them.
So there's a lot more detailed information that is required. We were told right up front by the mortgage company that the process is going to take at least 90 days.
Homebuyers should also be prepared to put down more money than the typical 20% down payment. Assumable mortgages require buyers to cover the money already paid towards the mortgage, as well as any appreciation on the home price.
We've seen really rapid home.
Yeah, so that's an interesting clause of it. So the advantage is you get the mortgage at the previous rate, but they just highlighted one of the downsides, which is you can only take on the mortgage at its current state. And so that means if you have a $500,000 home that you got a $400,000 mortgage on at that point in time for the previous owners, and you got this fantastic rate, and now it's a few years later, maybe that home is worth $600,000 now, and that mortgage is still $400,000. So that means the down payment for the initial owners might have been like $100K or about 20%. But now if you want to assume that mortgage, you would have to pay $200,000 in that example. And so that's to basically pay the difference for the home value compared to what is left on the mortgage itself. So that definitely makes a much more onerous upfront cost, but still could be an interesting option at this point in time, given how high interest rates are.
Price appreciation. So somebody who has a home that they had 20% equity in may now have a lot more money in that home than they originally had.
For example, say a homeowner took out a 30-year fixed-rate VA loan for a home at $200,000 and paid off about $25,000 of that over 2 years. The person assuming the mortgage would have to pay the buyer the money they've already invested, that $25,000. Additionally, if that homeowner decides to sell their home for $250,000, the buyer has to cover the additional $50,000 in appreciation, either in cash or by taking out a second mortgage.
A little bit of a guessing game initially because you're negotiating on what the sale price will be of the house, of course. You don't really know up front what is owed on the house either. Got lucky in that respect where what was owed on the house versus what we had settled on for a sale price was almost exactly that same 20% we had saved for our down payment.
One of the biggest hurdles for getting an assumable mortgage? Awareness, not just by buyers, but sellers who don't know to advertise their home as assumable.
So one interesting point that individual made, which was actually that the mortgage ended up being close to 80% of the value of the home. So in the example I gave and the example given in the video, there was some assumed down payment that was fairly sizable, as well as paying off the mortgage and then also value increasing for the home, so that you all have to pay for. If I'm not mistaken, they had highlighted that these are mostly government-backed loans that hit this criteria. And so like first-time home buyers or the veterans version of support for buying a home, a lot of these have reduced down payment numbers. So this is a scenario where those might offset to the point where, like this individual ran into, of they might still only have to have a 20% down payment for the home, given the fact that there's a chance that the initial home buyer who has one of these assumable mortgages maybe put 10 or even 5% or less down for that home when they first bought it. So you're mostly covering the appreciation, so you could still find good deals that would basically align with your current mortgage as is.
So about a fifth of the homes on the market, or 20 to 25% of the homes on the market, will be fully assumable at one time. The number of assumption transactions that are happening is far fewer than the number of mortgages which can be assumed.
While assumable mortgages can be hard to find, and at times complex, companies like Realm are working to streamline the process for buyers and sellers.
97-98% of the people who have these loans don't know that it can be a marketing advantage. Because what kind of homeowner sits around thinking about their loan type being the marketing advantage in their home sale?
Other companies like Assumable.io and AssumeList can help match interested homebuyers with assumable mortgages.
I think once that word starts getting out, this is a possibility, we're going to see more and more of these pop up.
Well, that was actually very insightful. hopefully that information might help anybody who's looking for a home at this time, knowing that this option exists. 20 to 25% sounds like that's quite prevalent, that there's a chance that if you're on the market and looking for a home, that one of those homes might be in this scenario. So maybe this will be able to help you out or somebody you know who's looking for a home. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please hit like or subscribe. I'll see you around.